Hello folks, and welcome back to True Crime Phenomenon. This is Josh coming back to you with another video. Today we're going to take a look at one of Jeremy's towing clients, but before we get into all that, I'm going to dive into a little bit of a historical overview for some context for all the newcomers out there. Jeremy is a serial police impersonator, currently in prison for multiple felonies, multiple counts of impersonating a police officer, reckless driving, interception of oral communications, failure to register, etc., etc. Now, the first impersonating arrest goes all the way back to 1998. While in the Police Explorers program, Jeremy was arrested for stealing $14 of gas after brandishing his Police Explorers badge and saying that he would come back later with his county card to pay, which he never did. Jeremy eventually started a funeral escort company called Metro State. Metro State was under investigation by the Orange County Sheriff's Office, led by Sergeant Vidler and Corporal Ramsey. To combat the investigation, Jeremy would send his employees into the Professional Standards Division, or Internal Affairs, to make complaints against Vidler and Ramsey. When this didn't work, Jeremy recruited local attorney Michael Breen by arming him with heavily edited videos to show Internal Affairs. Michael Breen was interviewed by Sergeant Mitchell and Sergeant Vasquez regarding the allegations stemming from the video. Sergeant Mitchell alleges that Michael Breen was going into business with Jeremy Dewitte, and you can actually find that along with all the other Internal Affairs interview videos on my playlist, Dewitte, Vidler, Internal Affairs. Check it out. Now, the reason that this is important is because Michael Breen is friends with Orange County Sheriff John Mina. Now, this eventually led to Sergeant Vidler getting fired and Corporal Ramsey getting an unpaid leave/suspension. Now, you've heard in the past from acting Captain Crab, who gave the order to only arrest Jeremy Dewitte for capital crimes, as well as the other Metro State people. You've also heard from Officer Reeves, who was the second unit on the scene on the March 23rd, 2021 arrest, which is essentially what all of this is stemming from. Now, in this particular interview, you're going to hear from Justin Wall, Sergeant of the Professional Standards Division, and Adam Ayed, owner of AATR. They have roughly about 50 employees, towing and recycling company, and this particular interview is on May 12th of 2021 at 3:22 p.m. And the allegation by Jeremy Dewitte that Vidler brought negative information forward that caused his company, Metro State, to lose the contract with AATR, the towing company. Now, he's basically, Mr. Ayed's going to say that, he was only a client for a short period of time, and when he saw Jeremy Dewitte on the news, he decided to stop doing business with Metro State. Now, he's going to go into more detailed information on why he stopped using Jeremy's service in particular, that really, in my opinion, has nothing to do with Vidler. States he never met Vidler, doesn't know him, never spoke to him, name doesn't sound familiar. I'm going to go ahead and let you make up your own minds. Let me know if you think Jeremy's telling the truth about Vidler going to this particular gentleman to get his contract canceled. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, I love to hear from you guys down in the comments, and I changed up the intro music this time at a request of one of my subscribers, or at least a commenter. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the other side.
I'm Sergeant Justin Wall of the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Professional Standards Section. Today's date is May 12th, 2021. The current time is 3:22 p.m. This interview is being conducted at 13574 Village Park Drive, suite number 235 at the business offices of AATR. I'm interviewing. Can you just state your name and your affiliation with AATR?
Adam Kareem Ayed, owner of AATR.
Okay. Mr. Ayed, are you aware that I'm recording this interview?
Yes, sir.
Has anyone threatened, coerced, or offered you any preferential treatment to give this statement?
No, sir.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol that may impair your testimony?
No, sir.
Please raise your right hand so I'm going to put you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are to provide will be true and correct?
I do.
Okay. Mr. Ayed, as we briefly spoke about, I'm here conducting an administrative investigation into the conduct of our employees, and an allegation has been brought forward by an individual named Mr. Jeremy Dewitte that he used to do business with you, and that his business was cut short by way of the sheriff's office, an employee of the sheriff's office, bringing forward negative information about Mr. Dewitte. That's his allegation. Did you conduct business with Mr. Dewitte?
For a very short period of time.
Okay, and what kind of business did you conduct with him?
Subcontractor, third-party subcontractor for an outside account, and we subcontracted the company, and later on we find out that he was the company officer. After what I recall, what we saw on the news, and we stopped doing business with him since then.
Okay. Do you remember when you started doing business with him?
I don't recall exact dates. I know it's quite probably the course of last year or the year before.
Okay, so 2019 or 2020?
I say it's toward 2019 more than 2020. We haven't done a whole lot since 2020 with insurance auto auction anyway.
Okay, so do you know about how long you did business with Mr. Dewitte?
Very, very briefly. He did not. The company did not own a conventional rollback wrecker that allow him to pick up 2 units at the time. He was operating a self-loader unit that would allow him to pick up 1 vehicle at the time. For him, he wasn't too efficient, and for us, it was not productive at all. So the relationship started us trying to help him or to help the company, and it stopped as soon as we've seen something negative on the news.
Okay, what did you see?
There was a report about him impersonating a police officer on the news, on Channel 9 News. I watch the news every day and kind of try to be on top of what's going on, at least locally. So my decision was for us not to interact with him until I say something different, or I give a different directions to my crew.
Okay. And so you own the company.
Correct.
And so you oversee everything. Would somebody come to you if they had any knowledge about Mr. Dewitte, or if he had approached them or anything like that, right?
What I recall making the decision. I recall obviously the news report that day, and I don't recall speaking to anybody else. I mean, I'm involved in a daily operation. I meet a lot of people, and I interact with a lot of people, and I don't recall a specific conversation outside the company internal proper channels, me communicating with my employees, instruct them not to give business toward the company.
Okay. Do you know a Sergeant Keith Bidler from the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
No, sir.
Have you ever heard that name before?
No, sir.
The allegation was brought forward by Mr. Dewitte that Sergeant Keith Bidler met with the owner of this company. That is you, correct?
The owner of the company would be me. Anything was done on an official base. I don't recall it. I do not recall a conversation. I deal or interact with law enforcement on a regular basis. I do not recall a specific conversation that targeted a specific person a couple of years ago. I really do not.
Okay. So you don't, either Sergeant Bidler or any employees of the Sheriff's Office, do you remember any of them coming to you and speaking anything about Jeremy Dewitte?
Quite frankly, I didn't know his name was Jeremy.
Okay.
I think he when he came in, I don't know if it was an illusion or I mean he
Sometimes he goes by Jay.
maybe Jay.
Okay.
But never, he was never introduced himself to me as Jeremy Dewitte. So
Okay.
the name, actually, the first and last name, first time I hear it from you.
But the dealings were with Metro State.
Metro State
As a company.
Metro State as a company,
Okay.
yes, correct, and that's
Okay.
that's how the paperwork was turned into us.
Okay. All right. So you've never met Sergeant Bidler. He never gave you a business card and said.
I don't recall it honestly. He might not. I don't. The name does not sound familiar.
Okay.
The every time I mean I speak to somebody, I don't necessarily who they are. I mean, was it on an official let's sit down and talk about this gentleman?
Either officially or unofficially, in any capacity.
In any, I don't recall it. And officially, it probably would stick to my mind. It would be, Mr. Adam, I'm, Deputy Keith Johnson. I would like to discuss Jeremy,
Right.
John Doe. Okay, let's sit down and talk about it. I can guarantee you that would never happen.
Okay.
On the,
How about in an unofficial capacity?
non-official capacity and interaction, I don't recall it either. So,
Okay. And how about with any other sheriff's office employees?
I
Okay.
don't recall.
Okay. If another, I don't know how many employees you have, but 50 employees. So if it was another manager, even though the accusation was he spoke to the owner directly, even if it was another manager within the company, is that something that a manager would have brought forward to you?
The gentleman from Metro State, his relationship was not to that stage where he would interact on himself with managers.
With anybody but you?
But at the first stage, I want to make sure I know who he is before
But my question is, if any deputies had spoken to any of your managers, they would have brought that to you. And
I
said,
assume. I assume. I can.
Since you run the day-to-day operation.
I run the day-to-day operation, but
Okay.
I think what I remember the day we heard the news report. I heard the news report. I remember I made a decision right there and then. It's not that the guy that I would want on my team. No matter what the excuse later on, okay? Because he combining 2 or 3 charges. They're moral turpitude charges.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I mean. It's it's a little bit above the average charge.
Okay.
That you can probably somehow you give the benefit of the doubt. These charges, I mean, especially if they're multiple, it's hard to kind of.
You don't want to do business with that individual.
Pretty much,
Okay.
I mean, I understand. Believe me,
Okay.
Accusations could be wrong at any time, but
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you know about this investigation you'd like to add?
No, I hope I answered all your questions to the best of my capabilities.
Yes, sir. The current time is 3:32 p.m. and that concludes this interview.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.